We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc and theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up.
Last season on Forgot to Grow Up. Hi, Dr. Nick. Hi, everybody.
Andrew, it's the wrong show.
What?
It's the wrong show.
Shit.
Wrong show. We're doing our best of show, remember?
Oh, yeah. It seems today that all we see... Is that it?
No, it's still wrong. You're thinking,
Shit.
How's it go? Now I'm forgetting how our theme song goes. Awkward. We always had room in our heart.
Forgot to grow up.
That's the only part, yeah.
There we go. Hey, guys. Welcome to Season 2 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. I'm Andrew.
I'm Scott.
And we're missing Craig this week. He succumbed to Thanos' snap, and he turned into dust.
Yeah,
it
he
was
lasted
pretty
like
sketchy.
3 months. He must be the most powerful.
Yeah, he was like Thanos with a Z or something, just killing it. But this week we decided, why not do a recap episode? We're just going to talk about our favorite episodes from Season 1, and hopefully they were your favorite. And if not, too fucking bad, okay? Because they're our favorite. This is our favorite.
Or you can email us.
This is our favorite
and tell
recap
us your favorite
episode. Make your own podcast about our episodes. And then we'll listen to you guys, okay? But until then, we love you.
Fan podcast.
That would be awesome. I would listen every week. I would listen to their podcast more than I listen to us, to be honest with you.
That'd probably happen too. Yeah, I'd probably re-listen to their episodes.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh man, what did they say about us this episode? Boom, let's go.
Yeah, little ego boost. Well, hopefully.
But Scott,
they're a fan podcast. I'd hope they'd be nice to us.
That's true. I would hope they'd be nice to us.
But
Scott, I want to know, what was your favorite thing? Not episode-wise, but just your favorite thing about Season 1. What was your favorite thing?
My favorite thing, I think, was kind of discovering how different some of our views have been on certain things. Like, when going into this, I thought, especially me and you in particular, I thought we'd agree on, like, pretty much everything. But as we've gone through more and more topics and different types of movies and stuff, me and Craig even more so, I knew that was going to happen, but even him, I've even surprised on the ones we've agreed on. And
yeah, there's actually been quite a few that you guys like see eye to eye, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it surprises me almost every time too, because that's not how me and Craig usually are. But I have enjoyed kind of like discovering those different things, like the things me and Craig agree on, the things me and you don't 100% agree on, like
okay,
like comic book, origin stuff and little things like that. So
I like to see it come off a page, and you like to just see everything.
Yeah, I like new stuff. Exactly. So like little things like that we've kind of discovered because we've done an hour minimum of this each week. So I really enjoyed that, like discovering that about each of us and like hearing each week the different things we all watch. Like kind of, it's really interesting. I've already commented on it before about how you two watch so much of the same stuff, but it's kind of
callbacks.
Yeah, it's really interesting though to kind of like each week to find like the random little ones that we each will watch, like Craig with his explained series. Yep. And then you'll have a random series you put up on the shop once in a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't watched the Mummy trilogy in a while. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that kind of thing. So yeah, I'd say that. What about you? Yeah.
See, for me, I like that. I think it has to do with the WWWTW, the world's greatest podcast segment. My mommy said so. She didn't actually say that. I'm a liar. But I think my favorite part about it would probably just be that we all do watch such different things sometimes, or we watch the same things. But every time we mention, it's always, oh yeah, I'll make a mental note, or I'll actually write that down, or I'll add that to my watch list. And I feel like I've never watched as much as I have over the last year. But I've never absorbed as much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like, I've never absorbed as much about things. Like, the amount of movies I've watched before where I've just, like, put it on just as background noise and not really fully paid attention.
Yeah.
Now I find no matter what I watch, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch for something. I'm either going to pick up on something, or I'm going to see a character from this that was in that, or just I need to find something out about this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think that's why I like it.
definitely
It's
had
made me
that
more
same
aware of what I'm watching.
Yeah, definitely agree. I've definitely noticed that same thing. I noticed myself paying attention more, just literally so we have more to talk about. As in, oh yeah, I liked that. you know.
I also like the recollection that's happened, like just random movies that we know about and we remember them, but they're not at the forefront of our brains. Where just something will spark it, and we're like, oh shit,
Oh
I
yeah.
remember the Knights of Tir Nanog. Oh damn, Mummy's alive. Hell yeah.
Mummy's alive. That exactly.
Shit,
Ones like
yeah.
that. Like that's
Warriors of motherfucking virtue. Okay,
Warriors.
just stuff like that.
I can't even remember what episode that was, but
Things
that
like
was one of
that
my
where
favorite.
just we don't know it's there, and then all of a sudden, bam! It's a title. Okay,
Exactly.
that shit is on top of us, and then we just immediately just flashbacks. Just it hits us, and then words come out of our mouth. Okay,
as we do on a podcast. But yeah,
That's
no,
how
I
we do it.
definitely agree. I've definitely enjoyed that, especially when we do one of like our like genre ones, like the cheesy
Yep.
80s and 90s action films. When we did that one, I remember you guys had a couple that I just like had blanked on, right? And so you do a little research
well,
beforehand.
really, that was so long ago. It was before our time, really.
Exactly, yeah. So it's understandable we missed them, but it's funny when we one of us will mention one that I'm like, oh yeah, I did see that. Why didn't I think of that when we were doing this list, right? Like,
Yeah.
Or like the spy episode, or the non-Bond episode, spy episode.
Yep.
That episode, there was a few I remember you mentioning that I'm like, how did I not think of Spy
Yeah.
Kids? Like, how did I forget Spy
The
Kids?
movie of our childhood.
It literally has spy in the name.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I feel like the movie Spy is something that goes right over my head.
Oh yeah,
And
see,
it's
that's
literally
another one.
called Spy.
I've never
right?
seen that one, but yeah, exactly. Like I just wouldn't think of that, and I enjoy that part of like some of our episodes where we kind of discover these little gems in our past that we've watched before. And we have semi-fond memories of watching. Sometimes they're not as fond, right? And I enjoy that too. Like when we were like, no, I hated that. Like I'll never watch that again.
Yep.
But
Been there.
oh yeah, Adam Sandler episode for Craig mostly actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Really. Tom Cruise makes great movies.
But does Tim Allen?
Yeah, so does Tim Allen, for sure he does. But we actually composed a list of our top 10 movies, our top 10 episodes, okay? They were basically the length of a feature film from like back in the 90s, early 2000s. But we composed a list of our top 10 episodes, and we just want to recap them and refresh our thoughts about each episode and why we think that they should be on our list. And if
Best
not,
of first season.
make your own list and then tell us about it, okay?
Yes.
Scott, what is number 1 on that list?
Well, the first one I got written down is episode 1. Because it started off, you know me, I'm always a stickler
it.
for the originals. And it was a fun one because we were discovering how we were working together. I think I introed that episode potentially, not Craig, but I'm not 100% sure about that because I haven't listened back to it in a while. Or something along those lines. It was something, or like I guided it or something like that. There was some different aspect to that first episode that we changed, I think. I don't remember exactly now. I should have listened back to more of this episode. But I do enjoy, like, I remember that we were still kind of like all trying to figure out, we interrupted each other a lot more in that first episode.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I was so loud. So loud.
Yeah, but I enjoyed like kind of discovering like because those are childhood movies episodes, our like ones that we remembered from our past.
Yeah, things that got us going, yeah.
Yeah, and so
That was back when we used to do multiple segments an episode because we weren't sure we could talk.
Yeah, and then we had to cut it down to one because we talked too much.
Yeah, because we talked way too much.
And yeah, that's kind of the thing I enjoyed about those first few episodes, though, is that we were still trying to get our feet under us. We didn't think we were going to go as long as we did on that first episode, talking about the Sandlot and other things like that.
All the good stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Batman, the animated series. And so it's like...
Okay, I knew I could go on for a while about that one.
Yeah, we still need to do a whole episode on that eventually. I got to finish rewatching the series, though. That's a whole other story, though.
That's a whole other episode. That's for season 3's recap.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so that first episode, I've got fond memories of it just because it's what started us off and started like spinning the gears of us figuring this thing out completely. You know, like you said with the segments, figuring out that we should only do one segment or one topic. It's a little less,
Less jumbled, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a little easier to keep it on track a little bit more, be able to go a little more in depth into certain things as opposed to rushing through lists.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I like this, and I like this, and I like this. Okay, well, on to the next one. And then we never really got to expand on what we were talking, what we were thinking. And I feel like the big part that our podcast developed into was just our ability to just converse about whatever's going on. And we get off topic a lot.
That's
but somehow
it
always gets brought back to the original subject. There's always a way to tie it in somewhere.
Yeah, but I enjoy
we're just a really long Family Guy cutaway. That's all it is.
Which is just the perfect way to kind of describe our podcast a little bit.
I stand by it.
But should I go on to number 2?
Absolutely. Hit me with number 2.
It's episode number 2. But that's because we talked about who our favorite Joker was. And that was one of our first
that was a good
debate ones.
That was one where that was back when our listeners gave us input.
Yes.
And mentioned what they'd like to hear us talk about, because we were still trying to find our way, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have ideas. We hadn't decided just one segment.
We didn't know what people would like yet.
That's it. So it was like, okay, well, let's open up the floor. Let's open up the mic. And I believe it was Brock who asked us who our favorite Joker was.
I think so.
If I remember correctly, our dear friend Brock.
We definitely should look into that, too.
Probably should have recapped that. But, it was him. And then it was interesting to see that we all had different takes on it. Now, Craig hadn't seen most movies.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed about that episode, because that's how we kind of developed a little bit of our personalities, I think, for this.
Yes,
a little bit.
Our on-air personalities, yeah.
Mine and Craig's on-air relationship.
Yeah,
a little
your
bit
dynamics,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like that little bit of bickering, but agreeing on random things, but being like, Craig, how did you not see all the Batman?
Come on, man. We're allowed to say this because you're not here.
Yeah.
Love you, but god damn it. Come back from the ashes.
Yeah. Well, we already discussed it. He's got a sequel coming out next week. So
that's true. Next week,
happen.
Something's gonna happen. The snap didn't really happen. It was just,
Captain Marvel
it became two different timelines. It became the timeline of where he died versus where he did snap, and then it became the ultimate timeline where, like, once you die, you dead, and it was too much. So, Marvel.
Yeah, that's how Craig comes back next week.
Yeah,
Anyways,
right.
Should I go to number 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
So that's episode number 8, our Justice League episode. That's the first time we did a movie that was in theaters, and we also had a very failed attempt at that episode at first, too.
Yes, yeah, we tried to do the very special On Our Way to the Movies, a special segment.
Of a mobile podcast, if you will.
Yeah, that's it. And we got one voice only. It was Scott's. He was in the back with everything.
Yeah.
We got his voice and his laughter while Craig and I sat in the front and talked, and none of it got picked up. But that was a fantastic episode. And let me tell you, I look forward to trying to do it again in the future, but doing it correctly.
Yes, doing it correctly. That was a fun attempt, but even the episode itself, when we finally put it together after, was still fun, because it was fun to recollect about that trip, and then how it kind of related into us obviously talking about how we really enjoyed Justice League. I can't remember if Craig did or not.
Craig did.
Okay.
Craig did. It was one of those movies where we went into it. We had already seen the reviews of it being negative.
Yeah.
So we were all kind of just rearing to be like, why? Why was this so bad? Why did everyone tear it apart? And then we went and saw it, and we're like, shit, this was a pretty decent movie. Like, there was no major issues with it.
Except for the mustache thing.
I'm not
going to argue with anybody about that one. I'm like,
no, except for the mustache thing. That scene didn't need to be there at all.
No, it literally added nothing to the story. It didn't tell me anything about Superman except they don't know how to CGI his mustache off.
Yeah. But outside of that, if they cut that entirely, pretty fucking great movie. I still stand by it. I'm glad we went and did our drive there to check it out.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like we just, as a podcast, we need to see more movies together.
Definitely.
Difficult being all spread out. However, we promise we're going to see more together. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, in the future, definitely.
Absolutely.
Let's get a car.
Probably not Aquaman, but we'll see something together for you guys.
Aquaman's a little soon, but hopefully something.
Yep. Well, too close to Christmas, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's number 4?
So that is our episode number 9, which was our Star Wars edition, where we talked about all of these Star Wars.
Oh, that was our 7-hour episode, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was our longest episode. But we also talked about 8 movies, because it was just before Last Jedi came out.
Yep.
So we had a lot to talk about. I really enjoyed that episode just because it was fun to spend
Talk about
that
Star Wars.
like 2 hours, I think it was, or almost 2 hours.
Just shy of, yeah.
Yeah, talking about Star Wars and just Star Wars. Like I've obviously probably done that in my life before, but it was kind of funny or enjoyable to just be like just talking about it and kind of getting all our thoughts out, discovering the little things that each of us like picked up from them as we were growing up watching them, which ones were each of our
how we
favorites.
took different things. And
Yeah, exactly. I think we each all have a different order for like the prequels and stuff like that. It's like what we like the best, and so I learned a lot about like each of our own, like Star Wars fandoms, and I really enjoyed that about that episode. And obviously just recollecting about Star Wars. It's just always fun, and I could obviously do it again, and we might.
And let's be real, we're going to.
Definitely.
It was an hour and 45 minutes, which I'm pretty sure isn't even our longest episode to date.
I don't think so, actually.
I think we've hit an hour 50 before.
Yeah, we definitely have at least 1 hour 50. I think hour 57, to be honest, is our longest.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. I stand by it.
Yep. But the next one I got on our list, so number 5, yes, 5, is episode 13, where we did our fantasy movie draft.
Well, you only like that one because you kicked Craig and mine's ass.
Well, that's part of it. I enjoy, but I also enjoyed that it added that element to the show each week, or like each time one of those movies came out. It has kind of died in the last few weeks, but I just still enjoyed that aspect of it. I look forward to us actually, having our, tallying it up episode when we, put it to rest. That yes.
When we see how many billion you beat us by.
Yeah, exactly. But I just, and besides that, that's not why I picked it. I enjoyed what it added to our episode, and the episode itself was fun. Us each like being like, "Oh, you picked that," and like having the different reasons. We were each talking about like why we thought each one would do good, and like discovering the little things like that. Like you picking, there was something you picked, I can't remember now. That was like
Ready Player One.
That was it. Yeah, that was it. Ready Player One. I was like, oh yeah.
Where I hit you with that Spielberg sci-fi, and you're like, oh shit, didn't think he was gonna pick that.
I didn't think you were going so high with it. Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck, Spielberg, you let me down, dude. Come on, son. I mean, it's probably that. What's his name? Ty Sheridan or whatever his name is, the lead guy. It's probably his fault.
It's definitely his
Thinks
fault.
he can play Scott Summers. Get the hell out of here. Ugh. That was a good episode, though. It's actually because what else did we talk about that episode?
I think we just did that.
Was it just the draft?
I think that was like around when we started doing just one topic per episode. At this point, I think Star Wars actually is where we started one topic per episode. That's how long
that makes sense. Couple months in, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah. So the fantasy movie draft was number 5. Number 6 I got is episode 15, which was our Last Jedi discussion.
Just more Star Wars, because why not?
Exactly. And I like that one because it was so close to our Star Wars edition, or Star Wars episode. And like we were, we already had a discussion about all of them. And so I like that we were able to talk about the new movie and how it tied into them, our differing opinions on it. Because I think me and Craig slightly felt different about certain things. There was something. I disagreed with you two about the Mary Poppins scene.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
So that was a fun part of it, and little things like that I enjoyed. Us kind of, we got not slightly heated, but we did get a little. It was a fun heated. You know what I mean?
It was, yeah. It wasn't a hey, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. It was oh yeah, well, let's go grab a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Because
we don't drink, but whatever.
Whatever. I'll have a soda.
Whatever.
He'll have an iced tea.
I will have iced tea, you motherfucker.
But yeah, there's not much else to say about that episode. Next, I had episode 23, 007, our James Bond episode.
That was a good one.
Yes, another slightly long episode because there was a lot of movies, but I liked discovering which different movies each of us had seen, particularly Craig, because it's always interesting. When like the bigger the franchise, it's more interesting to see which ones he has seen and hasn't, because it's like it's a little bit of like, oh,
for us, we've seen them all multiple times. For Craig, it's just everything's up in the air.
Exactly. Like I couldn't predict which ones he had seen, so that was an enjoyable part for me. The fact that me and Craig agreed on a few things on that episode, I think when it came to Bond, like I think me and him agreed on which one was our, I don't know, actually
our favorite Bonds. Yeah.
Yeah, favorite Bond.
That sounds familiar.
But I think it's also because he's only seen Daniel Craig Bond, but I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just fun because I think it was just a little bit of, it was interesting to just discover which ones Craig hadn't seen and which ones he had, and getting his take, because I knew our takes on it, obviously. Obviously, I know
Obviously.
my own take. But it was interesting to catch.
Obviously.
Yeah. It was interesting to see Craig's perspective on that one. So that's why I
for
enjoyed
sure.
that episode.
Well, especially because Craig's seen less stuff than us, so I feel like Craig just talking about movies alone that's the most important part of the podcast.
Yeah.
People only tune in to be like, what did Craig see this week?
He is the star of the show.
That's it.
It is a shame we killed them off.
Listen, yeah. I mean, it was Thanos.
It was Thanos.
It was Thanos.
Yes, yeah, no, Thanos.
He's not in the basement under my shop right now. So what was our favorite 7?
Number 7 was episode 29, our 80s and 90s cheesy action films episode.
As you mentioned before, that was one of your favorites.
Yes, it was. Yeah, what I mentioned before, because I enjoyed that like the different like movies that each of us had seen, especially with Craig, because he grew up with different like movies in his household that they watched, right?
Yep.
So it was really interesting to see which ones he had and hadn't seen. And then I enjoyed like you had a few that I just had blanked on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great one. I forget.
And then you were like the Last Action Star or Last Action Hero.
Yeah, I said that one because I love that one. And I talked about it for like 10 minutes.
And most of them were Schwarzenegger movies
There was
that
so
we
many,
struggled
yes.
because we had our own Schwarzenegger episode,
We haven't done
which I hope made the list.
We haven't done Schwarzenegger.
We didn't do it yet. We didn't do one yet.
No, that's because I make that
No,
joke every
that's-
time we do a different actor.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because every time, like
That's
when we
true.
did Tim Allen, I'm like, it's funny we did Tim Allen before Arnold.
For Schwarzenegger, yeah.
And then when we did
considering
Tom
Arnold was
Cruise, I'm like, how have we done 2 actors and neither of them have been Arnold? And then
considering Arnold made a feature appearance on our first 11 episodes.
yes, and he's been a reoccurring appearance
Yeah.
ever since.
Yep. And here we are.
And yet to do it. I feel like we'll have to write that one in. But
We'll
we can
figure it
discuss
out.
that during Craig's sequel when he's
Yeah.
back, if he's back,
When he's back from sabbatical, maybe.
potentially, or the dead. We don't know yet.
We don't know. We haven't decided yet. We haven't wrote that part out.
He hasn't edited it in yet.
Nope.
But yeah, so the next one I had was our episode 44. So we're getting closer to this beginning now and almost at the end of our list. And that was our Batman edition, which I named our No.
I'm surprised Batman
edition.
I'm surprised Batman came in that low on the list.
Well, this is
Just because
this
we're
wasn't
so
like a
adamant
ranked
and
list.
pumped.
This was okay. I forgot to mention that before. This wasn't ranked list. This was just
Okay. This was just
1
in
to 10
chronological
yeah,
order.
I just went
Okay.
through and picked out my favorite.
I was wondering why these were all coming in in order. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
damn.
I wasn't ranking them. Like 1 isn't
Okay.
definitely my favorite episode. It's just our first episode, but it kind of was my favorite. But I'd say it's not here or there. This is a chronological order one.
There we go.
That's why
Now,
Batman's-
glad we got that out of the way. Now everyone knows.
Yes. After we discussed almost the entire list.
Yeah. Indubitably.
Yeah, but Batman. I liked our Batman episode again, discovering which ones he hadn't seen, and then
Most of them.
and then seeing mine and yours different takes on who our favorite Batmans were and why. for
Our takes on
different reasons.
Joker and
Yeah, how
stuff
that
like that,
tied
even though
in,
we'd
the
already talked about
villains.
Joker.
Yeah, our different background with the animated series and the animated movies. The fact that Craig hadn't seen too many of the animateds at all. And then just talk. Like I really like our episodes where we talk about some like a very kind of big generic movie topic. So like Batman's such a big one, and we can tie it in.
Where
some
we all
other
get to
things.
find our little slice of heaven and where it intersects.
Yeah, and it's always fun to see our different takes on it too. Like I like when we each have because like I came into it with like a few questions written down to ask you guys, and then you guys each came in with like a list, and like I just like that's fun about each of our, like a lot of our episodes, like the different ways we each approached the way it was, like especially when it's or like we're all like a little off. It happens more often with our like Hey Listen Hollywoods, but I really enjoyed that.
Where we try to pull shit out of our ass.
Yeah, but also like we each had like a different interpretation of what the topic was. You know what I mean? That hasn't happened as much, but when it's a little more generic, we're like Batman. I think Craig focused mainly on just the movies, right? And
Yeah.
then me and you went on a tangent about the animated series and the few comics we had read and the villains and stuff.
Batman
like
in general.
Exactly right. So it's just and then Craig's ends up favorite is Lego Batman, which I can't argue with really. I think
Yeah, I can't hate on that. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Exactly. So yeah, that was just a really enjoyable episode for that, and I love talking about Batman.
Yeah, always.
So the last one I had written down. Oh no, oopsie, I skipped one because I'd accidentally crossed it out. That was the one I accidentally crossed out.
Oh my goodness.
So we're doing a hop back. So episode 31 was our Infinity War episode,
Okay.
and I just
Man, that's so long ago. It feels so much closer. It feels like it was a month ago.
but no, that was beginning of the summer. Before, in
Yep.
your terms, before the summer began.
Yep, it was not a summer blockbuster. It was late spring.
Yeah, so, but I enjoyed that one because it was the culmination of the MCU up to that point, the 10 years, 18 movies, it being the 19th, and just, I really enjoyed us being able to, discuss the different things that happened in it, because I didn't go see it with anyone, so I had to wait till we had this episode.
A
to
broman,
talk
yeah.
about it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we didn't text too much about it, because we did, again, wanted to save it for the pod.
Yep.
Hashtag save it for the pod.
Which is a struggle, guys.
Yes.
Just a heads up out there. If you're listening to us and thinking, man, I should definitely do a let's talk about my favorite things with my best friends podcast. It's tough
So if
because
you run out
you
of
watch
things
something,
to talk about in your spare time.
yeah, and you're like, shit.
I gotta save it for the pod.
And I gotta save it. I gotta save it for our recording date. God damn it.
Damn it, I gotta wait till Tuesday or Wednesdays.
Or Thursday or Sundays. Just kidding. Never Sundays because it comes out on Sunday.
Comes out on Sunday. Wait, didn't? Oh, that was a Saturday. Our first episode we recorded.
Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday at like midnight. So
Yeah, it was almost Sunday.
it was technically Sunday.
Yeah, but Infinity War was fun for that. I enjoyed that. I again enjoyed us talking about how it tied in, and just the whole movie just being awesome. I can't remember Craig's take on it, to be honest.
I think he liked it. I'm pretty sure he liked it.
Yeah. But
If I recall, he didn't like the cliffhanger at the end, but I
him
think
and the
he
rest
liked
of the
it.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I laughed at it and I
Yeah.
enjoyed it so much.
Saw it coming.
I saw it coming at the beginning of the movie. I was like, oh, it's going to end with something like that. I knew it was going to end with some kind of cliffhanger. But again, we discussed that during that episode. But that's why it's so fun. But yeah, so now that I've screwed up the order of this again, should we talk about the last one, which was, I didn't write down the episode number for this because we discussed this before, but our Oceans episode?
Our Oceans episode. This is number 11 as tribute to the Oceans movie, to Danny Ocean, the dearly departed maybe.
Yes, our bonus one on the list of our favorite or best episodes of our first season.
Because as I've said 117 times throughout the podcast, and you can quote me on that number,
You gotta go count it.
Yeah, I gotta go count it. Shit. I love oceans.
Oh,
I'm not talking Pacific. I'm not talking Atlantic. I'm not talking Indian. I'm talking Danny.
and
What
his
was
sister.
Sandra Bullock's
Yeah, I was
character
just
name?
thinking that. I'm like, damn it, I watched it like 3 days ago and I forget her name.
Damn. I gotta Google this. Now I gotta be the fact checker.
I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Oh.
Oh, it's gonna be something so obvious. Do you want to take any guesses?
I literally have nothing. I want to say it's like something, literally the girl version of Daniel.
It
Danielle.
starts with a D. It does start with a D.
Okay, so we're along. See, that's the thing. I don't know that many female names that I can think of off the top of my head.
It's Debbie.
Debbie.
She does not look like a Debbie.
I don't even remember. her
Although
as
I can
Debbie.
I can absolutely hear Deborah in the back of my head
Yeah, I can kind of hear that.
from oh man, drawing a blank on his name too. It wasn't Saul. It was the other old guy, the one who nearly died. The one that Ocean's 13 was for. The guy who shook Sinatra's hand. He was talking to her. He was all pimped out. At you know who I'm talking about.
I'm confused. I'm so confused. Like, who she talked to?
Yeah, they talked in front of Danny's grave.
No, that was
The old guy. Was it? It wasn't Saul.
Yeah, it was Saul.
No, it wasn't. Was it?
Wait, no, Saul. I'm mixing Saul
No.
up. Yeah, no, I'm
No,
mixing
it
Saul
was
up. You're
for-
right. I'm mixing Saul up.
Oh man,
was,
clearly.
No, I know.
Oh.
I know. We're thinking the
This
same
is
person.
frustrating.
I got
Yep.
Saul's name mixed
Yeah.
up with him. That's why I was so
Yeah.
blanking on you.
Ugh. Something in, isn't it?
I think so. Oh, so bad. So
Oh man, this
terrible
is
at
rough.
We used to have Craig here to like, fact check this while
Yeah.
we were riffing on it.
Oh shit, that's not what I wanted. I clicked on Ocean's
What is
8
it?
again.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Why are we so
just
bad at
wanna
movie
find
trivia
it.
sometimes?
Yeah, really. This is
That was one of the things I
this
should have
is
said.
rough.
That's my favorite
Reuben.
thing. Reuben.
Reuben.
How did we forget Reuben?
I know. I love
And he
sandwiches.
looks so great in this movie. I want his
I know.
coat.
It's so pimped out.
I want that coat and the hat, to
Always.
be honest. I can't wait to-
Deborah. Daniel would not have wanted you to do this because only he can get away with using their full names.
Yeah, of course.
But he still calls Rusty Rusty.
Well, what would Rusty's full name be?
Rustifer?
Is that an actual name?
I don't know. Maybe. You don't know me. You don't know his parents.
I don't. That's why I was asking.
It's quite possible.
Yeah. Anything else to say about our Oceans episode, though? Besides the fact,
Other than the fact that clearly we can't remember it, but love him. Love him anyway.
I think that one was one of the ones where we were super. Oh, Craig couldn't talk at all. I think was that what that one was.
I think it was because he had never seen any. Oh, he didn't
Yeah.
like them. That's what it was. He doesn't like them.
He doesn't like them. Yes, and we had to discuss.
And that is why we
he
killed
didn't
him.
like them. Yes, that's why.
We finally snapped.
That's why Thanos snapped and killed him.
He finally snapped and killed him.
We had to bargain with Thanos.
Exactly.
We're the ones actually who destroyed Nova Prime to get that one stone. It wasn't Thanos. It was us. It's the Forgot to Grow podcast.
Awkward. It was a Forgot to Grow podcast.
I just want credit. Everyone's giving Thanos all the credit. I just want a little credit. We
Yeah.
can do stuff too. That's all I'm
Exactly.
saying.
He's like, oh, I had to get 5. You never saw him get the Power Stone. You don't know
We didn't
that.
get no credit. We didn't get any of that Infinity War money.
None of it.
None of it.
Not even 5 cents. Those are my 2 cents.
I feel like that's all I got to say about our first year. What about you?
Yeah, I love it. I look forward to year 2 and blowing you guys away with our episode next week, which is about redacted. Tune in, okay? But it's time to hit you guys with the first segment that comes from last year's, our first seasons, which is WWWTW, Season 2.
Episode 1.
WWWTWST.
I feel like we should
That's a
go with
lot.
S2.
Yeah, S2, that rhymes, yeah. That is a lot of consonants. Scott, hit us up.
Okay, what I watched this week was I checked out the Joe Rogan new special, Strange Times.
Yep, as did I. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. It was very Joe Rogan. There was a few times that he, preached a little bit, which I never like about any stand-up.
That's most of his stand-up, though.
Well,
Most of his stand-up is him just saying, well, yeah, we're monkeys, smoke pot, politics is fucked.
yeah, but like he usually that's part of his joking, and this time he did a little bit of it. But I just felt he was on those topics a little bit more on explain then joking side. You know what I mean? Like he had to justify
That's
it
true.
first, and
We used to be able to just make a joke, and now we got to say, this is not how I feel, I'm just being funny. I remember
exactly.
that
So
part.
that part was like I like that he said it. I love that he's the guy who will say those things. Like he's got his opinion and he believes it. He's like jokes are jokes. I'm making a joke. That's the intent. So.
I like that he came right out and pointed out that we are all really sexist, but it's mostly towards guys because you just don't give a shit. What happens to most guys? Like if it's a little kid, absolutely. That's just fucked.
That's a child.
But if something happens to some guy who's like 17 plus, sorry, bro, life's shit.
Yeah.
Especially when he uses like the Harvey Weinstein as the reasoning.
That was
like
so
how if it happened to his
ridiculous, but
daughter,
it was
he was
kind
gonna
of-
yeah.
If I get where he was
Like if-
coming from, I found it funny too. It's just like I like that he goes to those places and he's willing to talk about those things. I'm not as comfortable.
See, I like that he fact checks stuff. Like his bit about like the real life 21 Jump Street, where they sent that cop into schools, which is a legit story.
Oh yeah, and that
They
that
send
just
her
blew my
in.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah, like I like that, but then I also like that he did the twist on it. Like it happened to this guy, whatever, But if some dude came into the school and just started throwing dick at his daughter, you'd burn that motherfucker in the street.
Yeah.
Which is the actual punchline, and it was hilarious.
I love his punchlines. That's definitely my favorite thing about him. He's classic like that. Like he's always got kind of like a punchline at the end, which I mean most jokes are supposed to, obviously, but
yeah. My only Joe Rogan detriment to his comedy, because I love his comedy, I love how real he is, and I like that he kind of understands what we are as a species.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's not afraid to point it out that we are fucking animals.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's definitely why I listen
It's
to this
just
podcast.
his energy just wavers so much.
I know what you
He'll
mean.
be like, I'm going to tell you this story, and then I'm going to talk about pot and get really excited, and then I'm going to do a lot of super animated motions and just like shake my arms and be a little too vigorous.
I don't love how much he sweats, to be honest.
No, dude sweats like a motherfucker.
And when he does those weird things,
for someone who's 5'8", he sweats way too much.
Which in his defense, that's a lot of comedians. I feel like those lights are just hot,
That's fair, yeah.
Like that's why I wear a t-shirt, but that's me. Whatever, it's your special. But
Tom Segura makes a joke where he's like, sweating like a preacher, amen. And he just goes into the next joke.
I remember.
And it took me a long time to realize that it was because he patted the sweat off his face that he makes the joke. Or Bert Kreischer, who just takes his shirt off.
Yeah, that's what I was
he's
thinking.
He's like, I'm sweating like a son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's hot.
I'm only bringing one shirt to these things. Whatever. Takes his shirt off.
Yeah, so I watched that. I also watched the new Jumanji. I got to watching that finally.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed it.
What did you think?
I liked it. It was fun. I liked the way they kind of tied it into the original, how they made
by
it
by referencing it and having.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about like the game morphing.
See, I like that aspect.
Or like taking because for me it just leads into because they are making a sequel that comes out next year, I believe.
It's going to be VR. I 100% guarantee it.
It's going to be VR. Jumanji VR.
I will put money on it. I'll put you $20 right now. It's going to be VR.
My thing about that is. Who are they going to cast? Do you think it's going to be the same cast?
I'm worried it'll be the same cast slightly.
Because for me, they have to have a new cast. If the game itself is changing,
yeah, that's what I agree.
They absolutely have to have different characters.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Especially considering like the first one's so dark, and the character that came out of it, was that hunter dude, with the mustache, right? Like he's the bad guy in the first one, and then in this one, it's like a little more tame in a sense. It's a dude.
Yeah, it's the game itself. It's not just a guy who's coming after you trying to beat you, right?
So I'm curious to see where they'll go. I do think they're probably going to stick with the main four, but it might be interesting to see if it's like different teenagers and how they'd act different. You know what I mean? So maybe,
That'd be cool. Put more on the actors themselves trying to...
kind of switch
trying
it up
to evolve.
Yeah, maybe the game maybe updates a little bit and updates their characters, and now, The Rock isn't the strong one. He's the sidekick or whatever. It'd be interesting if they switched it up like that. But
I mean, let's be real, it probably won't. The Rock will definitely be the lead.
Yeah, he has to be the lead. So I don't know how they do that. But like different person.
Just give me Antonio Banderas. Here's what I want to see. I want to see Jumanji, where it's like a camp somewhere deep in like the rainforest type thing. That's where Jumanji is going to be in this one.
Yeah.
Okay, the land of Jumanji, and Antonio Banderas is like the leader of an excavating team. Okay, trying to find something, but then so that find the jewel of Jumanji or whatever. But it's not in the Panther. It's like underground.
It's switched up
in a cave somewhere.
Yeah,
a la Jurassic Park style, and just have Antonio Banderas as the badass who's trying to stop them, or like he's trying to rule Jumanji, and they need to just stop Antonio Banderas.
Okay,
but then it turns out that Antonio Banderas is actually just like the soul of someone who got stuck in the game and did die.
Okay. I like that.
I just want to see Antonio Banderas in this movie.
Yeah, no, I was trying to think how, like, the way I would write him into it. And he might be the new guide, unfortunately. That'd be the easiest way to insert him if we're keeping the same cast.
Oh, man.
Or the villain. The villain would be good, too.
Welcome to Jumanji.
I like that bit of it, though, like, because, they didn't have the board game to read. It kind of fits with the video game aspect of it.
That's true.
And I like that guy. His voice is funny to me.
Yeah.
Just enjoyable like that, and
he's the guy who I thought played Korg like the first time I saw Ragnarok in theaters. I thought it was him because it's the New Zealand accent. I thought it was the same thing. And then, hey man,
but they were both in What Do We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah,
because he was one of the werewolves.
Yeah, so it made sense in my head.
Yeah, I could see the connection. I wouldn't fault you for that. Taco Waititi might,
A little.
and he might for me saying his name wrong.
It was a little bit racist on my part because I got their accent confused with each other, but whatever. All New Zealander accents sound the same to me in movie form.
I'm like, you'll be hard pressed for me to be able to tell the difference between New Zealand and Australian. Like,
one is more intellectual than the other, if that makes sense.
I feel like we should leave it at that and not discuss it any further.
I'm just gonna leave it leave it as a blanket statement and let you guys figure it out.
Let's move way past that. Excuse me 1 second. I gotta cough.
Oh my goodness. And now it's just me, guys. Scott died. He just turned into dust himself. So,
but I'm back because my
week.
sequel.
Oh shit!
Because I don't got a sequel.
There we go. No sequels.
No sequel.
Scott's
I can't
back.
pull a Drax.
Nope. What's number 3 on your list?
I watched Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I put it on while I was doing some cooking, so that I didn't have to pay super attention.
How do you feel about it still?
I still love it. I still defend that scene, the Leia scene. She doesn't look like Mary Poppins. She can use the Force to do that. It was a Force pull. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
And Luke used all his energy to.
Do you still want to? Do you still want to punch naysayers in the throat?
I don't want to go that far. I've cooled down. We've got Han Solo.
Matured.
We've had Han Solo come out since then.
That's true. That's
and
true.
That kind
We've
of
matured. We have
back.
hit a ripe age of 25 since that movie came out.
That's true. We've
peaked.
Matured. We're more adult-like. And I just don't give a shit enough to.
That's fair. That's fair.
Argue with Star Wars fans about Last Jedi. I liked it.
There's no winning.
I get it.
There's no winning.
Exactly.
People just want to see the original trilogy re-released every year, and they do.
And they would complain about that too. Anyways, Let's just move past The Last Jedi.
Anyways.
So one thing I tried to watch, I left this on the list because I kind of found it interesting that I used to like watching it, but now I can't stand it a little bit, which is Shark Tank.
Shark Tank. Why is that?
So I put on, it's because it's become too commercial.
Okay.
Like it's become.
It's less about like really fantastic ideas that kind of like you're like, oh shit.
It's like established businesses coming and being like, oh, we want you to have a chunk, as opposed to like these small people who don't have an option.
Guys, yep.
Exactly. Like it used to be for people who didn't have the option to go to the bank. Where now it's these like Gronkowski's brother was on it. Rob, like
really?
He came. It was
go to his brother.
That's what I mean. That guy gets paid millions of dollars every year. As you guys go to like the Dragons because of. What? It's just too I am a marketing person. It is my freaking field, and I hate that show is literally just a marketing scheme now. I will guarantee each of these companies are paying to be on the show now.
I believe it.
I would
like you look
money,
at that.
Yeah.
Was it Endy or whatever, the mattress company? That's their big thing is that they went on it, and I feel like that's probably the only reason they went on it was just to say they were there.
Now I'm just like, oh yeah, you and 3,000 other companies. Like before, it was cool to discover these things. Now it's just like it was a water bottle that Gronk's this. Like I didn't make it past the first pitch because I'm like, oh god. I fast forwarded it, and then the rest were all like kind of same. Like these established companies that don't actually need help. They just want the exposure of
they want
Shark's Tank
and notoriety.
Exactly the notoriety of being connected to one of the sharks. And I'm like, well, I get that, but that defeats the purpose of what the show was, which was to help actual.
Why don't you just post a picture of a selfie with you with one of them online?
Yeah, like meet them at a business conference as opposed to it's just to each their own. Maybe they do need more help than I'm giving them credit, but to me it just seemed like these are just commercials now, like for these different companies, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't care about your commercial for this, Dragons, because that was the other thing. They were all kind of like fake voicing it. Going a little too infomercially with it. I'm like, okay, no, it's too biddy now. It's too a
little too prepared.
Exactly.
It's not
before it was charming when these, people who had never done a business presentation before were trying to do it. Not these people who have done 1,000 presentations and they've got it down pat. And they know how to do it. You
used to be able to see the nerves, right? You used to be able to see the people like, well, I need this.
They seem
I need
like
this
real
amount of money
people.
to be able to. Yeah. There was the one episode years ago I remember watching, and it was a farmer.
Yeah.
Who came up and he had invented some type of dome that could go over whatever it was. I don't know if it was for shrubs, if it was for trees, if it was for vines, whatever it was. Maybe I don't know. Same shit.
They both have the same problem.
But whatever it was, and it was the guy trying to pitch this, and then
No, I remember the episode.
what's his face, the dickhead,
the bald guy. Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, the bald guy. Yeah, that one.
Kevin O'Leary.
O'Leary, that one. He comes up and he's like, okay, well, I'll give you this much money and we can sell them for this amount of money. And the guy's like, no, I'm selling them for this amount of money.
Because farmers...
And then Kevin O'Leary is like, well, yeah, but supply and demand, if this is such a hot selling product, you should sell this many at this price, maximize your profit. This guy's like, yeah, but if I sell less to more farmers, they'll be more profitable. And just watching these rich people just throw their money at businesses saying, hey, listen, I'm going to own just shy of 50% of your stock for this amount of money going in. I'm making myself richer, and I don't give two shits about you as a business trying to expand and do the people. And it really hits me in my political bone, which is located right fucking here. Okay.
We're audio.
Right here.
We're audio. Yeah, tell
on my fist. There you go. On my fist. It hits me on my fist because I want to hit everybody. And how bullshit Western society has become, and how it is run by marketing.
Yeah, no, I that's why I went into marketing.
And that's exactly what it is. Like Mad Men, I love that show dearly. It's one of my favorite shows. I could watch it start to finish and then start it again.
Yep, done that.
Everything about that show it makes my blood boil because you really do get to see the era and how it started with, okay, well, we're going to try to sell this to this, and by the end of the couple seasons in, you start seeing how they're genuinely just been like, well, we need to sell this product to everybody. Yeah. Everybody needs to spend their money on this. They have extra money. Why? They should be giving it to us. And that's how it just become. So watching shows like that where it's just people who already have the money, like you said, try to just make more money and just like grow and keep the the little guy subdued. It's the fucking worst.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like this show's kind of going more towards, because I'll granted it, like I said, I only tried to like fast forward through the first episode because like I tried each of the pitches, and each of them I'm like, you don't really know what you need here, which means you're here for marketing, and I'm like, well, no, but like make a viral video, like dragons, it's not for me to say what the show is supposed to do, but like I feel like that's what I liked about it before, was that you could see these small, like actually small companies, like these companies that are in the hundreds of, like max hundreds of thousands, not these like someone knows like 10 million was one of the people. I'm like, what are you going to invest? Like, not that you don't need things like that, but if you're doing 10 million a year, like you don't need to be on freaking Shark's Tank. That's not where you're needed. Yeah,
you just need to reevaluate your dispersal of funds.
Yeah, you need to like pay for somebody to run your shit then if you can't run your shit. Not like anyways, I just don't like the show anymore. I'm not watching it anymore.
Well, I feel like reality TV was peak. It used to, at one point it peaked probably I'd say about 6-7 years ago, where it hit a point of, okay, well, yeah, this is kind of fun, kind of funny, seeing everyday people trying to do shit that they don't always do. Okay?
Yeah, but then everyone realized that they could be
and
on
then it hit
TV.
that turning point, that Jersey Shore turning point, where it was just, let's watch fucking anything. Yeah. And then it just
went Jerry
fell
Springer.
apart.
Now it's all Jerry Springer. Now everything's like partially scripted or partly this.
Just trying to draw you in. They're giving you previews of next week's episode halfway through the episode you're currently watching, rather than just saying, let's see what happens this week. Yeah. And it's just, it's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. Just like, what is it? The show where they go into the storage wars. That's the one. Where they go in there, like, that shit's scripted. Oh, definitely. That's just like, they're given money. They're given an X amount of dollars to spend. Yeah. It's not out of their pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just,
it's ridiculous.
And because they're trying to sell the episode itself.
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to sell the show. And if you have someone who goes in and buys junk,
literally every episode's week, just chairs.
But there's always one cool thing that happens to be worth something thrown into that locker.
Yeah, it's like
there's always one thing that's worth something. Like it's obvious that it's scripted, but in order for them to keep making money off the show, they have to keep the show on the air. Oh, yeah. So like I get that, but also just make good television.
Yeah, just come if you can't make
TV work, it shouldn't be on TV.
Yeah, if you have fake
don't do spin-offs of Big Bang Theory just because Big Bang Theory is falling apart. Okay?
It never fell apart.
Just give up and make new shows. Okay?
I agree with not spinning off Big Bang Theory, but in their defense, it definitely was not falling apart. It only canceled because they were too expensive to pay all the actors anymore.
It fell apart like 4 seasons ago. I stand by it. Anyways, do you have anything else that you watched this week, Scott?
Yeah, I just got two more. I watched the new season of Meat Eater, which is hunting.
I just
show.
added it. I just added it to my my list. How is it?
I really enjoyed the first two seasons I had already watched,
Okay.
and so this third season I was pumped for. I really enjoyed it. It's the same kind of wilderness. I really like Steve Rinella's take on hunting. He does it for food, not as like a trophy. I like his different history lessons he has. He's really, really knowledgeable about like North American history, like specifically wildlife history, like different things like that. Like the fact that there are more deer in North America right now than there was like 100 years ago. And I'm like, damn,
Absolutely.
I didn't know that. That explains a lot about hunting, things like that.
As a hunter myself, like shit like that, it speaks to me just because I live that shit.
Yeah.
I'm on top of it. I know that the amount of tags that at least the Ontario government sells is correlated with the population. So if you're not getting tags, that means the numbers are down. They're trying to manage that shit.
Yep, that's one thing I learned from him actually. Like that, like same with bear hunting. Like why we need to hunt, like why bear hunting is essential in certain places because you have to control the population because it can get out of control now because there are more deer and other factors that put into it. And he talks about all those things.
Shows like that for me, anyways. Like. Not just speaking to me, I like seeing the raw information behind it of being like, it's a dirty activity.
Oh yeah,
it's grimy. You're taking something's life.
Oh yeah,
and
they don't hide that kind of stuff at all. Like he butchers the thing
when you're a cattle farm or something, you become a little numb to it, and no one wants to know where the sausage comes from.
Exactly.
But when it comes to hunting, there's no avoiding it.
No.
You shot that animal, you deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta cut it. You gotta cut its skin off. You gotta cut its head off. You gotta gut that son of a bitch. You gotta do everything, and it is dirty.
Yeah,
and
I love that it
shows like that. I
like
like when they give you the information behind it. Well, if we don't manage this species, it's gonna overrun us. It's gonna overrun this. It's gonna kill off this. Was it the Yellowstone Park years ago?
Yeah, because
where it was overrun, and they introduced the wolves, and it rebalanced everything because there was too many elk or whatever in the area. Stuff like that. You go over to Africa. And there's certain parts of Africa where there's so many lions that they just walk into a town and they walk off with your dog. Yeah. They'll walk off with your kid.
Arm, yeah.
Yeah. Their issue with lions is the same as us with coyotes, just walking around.
And the fact that
maybe not so much in Ottawa or wherever else, but around here where I am in Campbellford, there's lots of coyotes. It's an issue.
Yeah.
They will walk up to your house and walk away with your little scrappy chihuahua.
There was a bear in Ottawa like 3 weeks ago.
There was a moose in friggin' Toronto a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Like, population control, if we as a species want to continue to grow and thrive, is required.
Run into these things on the highway or, have to worry about bears coming into our backyards.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, granted, I also am a firm believer we need to manage our species better. There's fucking way too many of us. Don't be popping out 97 kids, thank you. But in order for like life as a whole to be able to sustain everything, every species, fish, bears, birds, whatever, in order to sustain all of it, we need to manage a little bit of everything. And then especially with hunting, at least my family anyways, we're not massive trophy hunters. Like some people out there, they shoot it and they use it exclusively to hang it on a wall.
Yeah.
We shoot it for meat, and we use as much of it as we possibly can. So it shows like that where he's like, listen, I hunt so I can put food on my family's table.
The only reason he
like
hunts. That's all he that's all he eats too. So I really enjoy that about him. And like
even Joe Rogan, I believe
Joe Rogan's on him a bunch of the episodes actually. Well, not a bunch, like 4 or 5 episodes.
Yeah, I know he's on a couple podcasts with Joe Rogan.
Yeah. That's how I discovered him.
Stuff like that. Yeah, stuff like that where that's it, right? He's like, well, I hunt to feed. Of course I'm going to go buy my steak, and if I go out and I'm out there elk hunting or I'm axis deer hunting or whatever, and I don't get one, I have no problem going to the grocery store and buying whatever. But if I can shoot this animal, clean it myself, do everything, and have it forced to table, so to speak, how much better is that meat for my family? Mm-hmm. And that sort of thing, and I like that sort of take on it for sure.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy his take on all of it, and like learning the different things, like I said, like about the tags that I didn't know as much about, and he's really like he even informs you about different ways to like cook and like handle game meat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of
Because
information.
it's not like just grabbing a chicken breast or anything,
Yeah,
right?
and it just
Like there is different ways, and
I like that it's not focused on just him shooting things. It's not like it's focused on the process that sometimes hunts you don't get anything. Like he shows
That's
those
it.
episodes, right? And I like that he's not skipping over it too much, because he does also just like when he's sitting there, he just has profound thoughts about stuff, and I just really enjoy those things. He's just
now I'm not too knowledgeable about the show. I have an idea of it. I think I've seen little bits and parts. I've never watched a full season or anything.
yeah.
Does he go through like conservation or anything to
Yep.
do with that, or like?
Oh yeah,
okay.
he meets with different conservation like specialists.
Excellent.
He's always like
Excellent.
most of his actually ones he like half the friends he hunts with actually are like I know at least a couple of them are like biologists who work for like conservation biologists, right?
Okay.
And that's who he has on to like discuss these different topics that I've learned about
perfect.
now. Like me knowing about the bear tags and stuff like that is because he has these different experts on. And he discusses the different hunting. I don't want to say issues necessarily, but you know what I mean, like different like concerns.
Topics, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Concerns, yeah.
And so like he covers a lot of different topics. Like I'm not as knowledgeable about like he doesn't cover like as much about equipment and stuff.
Yeah,
but he
just more of the actual like going through the day to day of being a hunter
and like the process of like different types of hunts, right? Like some of them like how you like handle different ones. So like he did a bird hunt or a turkey hunt with actually Joe Rogan and Brian Callen, right? So that was a different style of hunting where they're in a blind, I believe it's called.
like a ground blind, just sitting there, just kind of waiting it out. Yeah,
exactly that versus them climbing through the mountains versus them
sitting in a tree or
I haven't seen him sit in a tree yet, to be honest, but
no,
I've seen him in like a field shooting birds, you know what I mean, things like that, or
like pheasant hunting or something.
Yeah, or like a mourning dove.
Morning dove, okay, yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, you can shoot doves, yeah.
They're very common in America, I think. I
think
was
so,
just trying to remember if that was the right dove name. But yeah, and he's also got a few episodes where he goes like to like South America and hunts with like a native or an
really? That would be
Aboriginal
pretty
tribe there.
Okay,
and,
one that's legitimately going to use everything for everything.
One time he eats part of a monkey.
Oh, damn.
Or no, he might not eat any, but I think they do. And he's just like, oh no, this is the one thing I'm not going to do. I can't remember exactly how that episode went. But you know
I
what mean?
can't
Like,
eat something that's related to me by a couple of genomes.
yeah, so like a few but it was interesting to kind of see his take on that's kind of I can't remember exactly if he did draw the line or not. And so that's a cliffhanger for you now when you get to that episode.
Now I have to go watch it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. They are shorter episodes, they're only 20 minutes, and they're not super long seasons. So, yeah, it's really enjoyable. He breaks up the hunts into 2 parts sometimes, or 3, like the one.
That's the reality TV we need.
Yeah, and I really enjoy it. He did the shot really well, and it's like I said, he shows everything, right? Like, well, as much as he can, right? Like with what he's got.
Yeah.
But like he'll show him, like he usually ends up cooking part of whatever he kills that day. Like when it does happen, and if not, like he'll do some like fishing too once in a while, right? Like the last one I just watched was him doing some trout stuff, right? Like showing you 3 different ways to cook a trout that he just caught himself in the river, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I was just interested.
The definition of manly.
Yeah, I just really enjoy it too because I like the idea, but I've never been a hunter myself, so I like where he's coming from, and like in the future one day I potentially like to go that same kind of route. But I just enjoy kind of learning about that in the meantime. And it makes me think a little bit more about where my food comes from, too. You know what I mean? Like, seeing where he's getting his makes me think more about where
because this is all natural, right? There's no GMO. There's no, we're just going to shove so much food into this thing. His is as lean as it gets.
Yep, straight off the land things. Like, and like, that was the other thing that's really interesting, learning about, like, how, he hunts, like, older, why you hunt for the bigger deer, because they're the older ones, and the older ones have already spread their genes, and so that's why it's more okay to hunt that.
That's it. Like, you shoot the old bull or the old cow.
Exactly. Like learning those different things, those terms. Like
they've done it, and they're at that point in their life, they're more likely to pass on negative traits, and you want to have the strongest herd as you possibly can, right? Just for their, not even just for you.
Yeah, it's the animals.
Not even for you as a trophy purpose. Just you want to have a strong stud.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to have weak stud.
And
right?
learning that like kind of stuff is just another part of the show, and it's just really interesting like that. So, and I like that's like I said, it's not about the bang bang shooting part of it. You know what I mean? Like there's zero focus really on that. He'll just talk about like sometimes because he'll do bow hunting once in a while. He'll just talk about why he switches it up necessarily and like the differences between the two, like bow hunting versus rifle hunting. It's mostly a lot of rifle, but then he'll have a shotgun for certain bird hunts and stuff like that.
Okay.
But he doesn't go into any of that. It just mentions. Well, he doesn't even.
Oh yeah. By the way,
mention
today I'm using my compound bow.
Well,
I'm about to kill this motherfucking panther.
Yeah, but he's a lot more chill than that, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's a good show.
Hopefully,
I didn't expect us to talk this long about hunting. That was interesting.
Yeah, me neither. I'm kind of pumped. Kind of pumped about this.
We still gotta
What's
get
your
to
last
yours.
thing, Scott?
So the last thing was just actually a very short one, actually, but it's called Star Trek Discovery Short Treks,
Oh shit.
which was a 15-minute little mini episode they put on, and they're going to be doing a few of these before the next season. And yeah, so I watched it.
What's that on?
It's on Crave.
Crave. Okay.
Yeah, so they did it for CBS All Access, but because we're in Canada, we just
Okay.
get it on Crave. So I watched the first one, which is the only one out at the moment, but it just had one of their secondary characters from the show just off on a random little adventure. And it was just 15 minutes, and that was it. And I was like, oh, well, this is okay. It'd be kind of like a side plot you would normally have in an episode that you kind of just took out of the episode. Does that make sense? Like, if you need something to do with a random side character or like one of the members of the crew, you normally have them do this during an episode. So instead of that, they just took out all those scenes and you just see that.
Okay.
And it's 15 minutes. But it's not cut that way, obviously, but that's what I kind of equated to.
Across.
Yeah, that's the... So it was okay. I'm interested to see what they do next. If it's going to be this,
that's pretty interesting
one.
as like a guy in your position, right? Who does like Star Trek.
Exactly, and I like that they're going into this little it is a side one. I'm hoping that it's different characters each one, so we'll see if I continue to like it or not. Because if it's the same one, then it just feels like this feels like a half-assed, not like side. What's it called? Not like a spin-off, but like a side spin-off, like a show running alongside of it.
Like a side story.
Yeah, exactly. If it's just the same character through the whole, like all the shorts. So I'm hoping they switch it up, but like I said, I have to wait to see. But that's all I watched this week. What did you watch this week?
I have a very, very short list this week. I'm going to watch 4 things. I watched a couple episodes of New Girl.
Of course, okay.
Of course. I'm on season 4 now. It's losing a little bit of steam, but it's not like totally shit the bed. It's still
hasn't gone the Big Bang route yet.
Has not hit that for me yet. I mean, I've only got the 3 seasons left on Netflix, so I gotta milk it for as long as possible. Because Lord knows I could finish this shit by Sunday if I wanted to.
If you put your mind to it.
Yeah. So, but it's been pretty good. It's hit a couple of weird snags where they've had they've toyed with relationships on the show that aren't working, or other things that like maybe we'll bring this back. So it's hit that kind of shit. What do we do now? Yeah. At the beginning of season 4, but I mean obviously it recoups. There's 7 seasons total, I believe.
Yeah. Hopefully they got their feet back under them.
So hopefully they
3 more seasons of them just trying to scramble and figure out what they are.
That's it.
That'd be crazy.
That's it.
I couldn't handle that.
So I watched that. I watched Mulan.
Oh, nice.
Which was on TV. It was on TV when Kendall and I were in Ottawa.
Oh, nice.
And we were just laying there in bed. And we're like, yeah, let's watch a little bit of this before we go out and do our thing. So we watched like half of Mulan, and then I finished it once we got back to my town.
Nice. Good call.
And it's still a great movie. Still a fantastic Disney movie.
That's actually one of my favorite Disney animated. Because as I've discussed before, I'm not the biggest fan of animated, especially growing up. But there's a few that I really loved, like that and Hercules. Like top couple.
Hercules was just the best.
Yeah, Hercules is probably still my favorite. But
for starters, Meg's sassiness just gets me going. The muses were fantastic.
Oh, the whole thing. I just love the music, the kind of comedy meets seriousness. I'm a big fan of Greek mythology in general.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how we got into Hercules. That's my fault.
We were talking about Mulan. It's close.
Yeah. But no, Mulan's great too, though, for those kind of same reasons. It's got great songs, great characters, a great plot. I love Mulan.
That's it. Most of the Disney like movies that involve some type of Disney princess or something like that,
with like a little mythology in it too.
Yeah,
are like my
just
favorite.
A little
ones.
bit of history, right?
Yeah,
enough sprinkled in where you're like, that seems like bullshit, but I'll let it be.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying Mulan's accurate in any way, and I wouldn't know, to be honest.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's still a good movie.
Yeah, it feels accurate.
Yeah.
Despite someone may have a different opinion about that, and I
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I challenge you to fight me, okay? Listen to the songs.
Well, man, I'm just talking about,
from
like,
it.
I don't know if it has certain, like, racial stereotypes that, like, I just wouldn't notice because I'm just white.
White?
Yeah. So that's what
possible.
I was referring
Steve,
to. Like, that's...
Stevie Wonder wrote, like, the theme song for it, so... If
I don't
him
know
and
if
I want to say it was, like, 98 Degrees, but whoever it was, him and some white boy band came up with the theme song for Milan, so if ever there was a racial issue with it, it's not on us. That's not our fault. We just watched the movie.
That's all I was trying to say, is that I don't want to take a stance on that part of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
I have no
you
opinions on
enjoyed
it,
the
but-
movie.
Yeah,
You
I
enjoyed
like
the
it,
movie
yeah.
as a movie. Okay, so I also watched Trainwreck,
Oh, you mean
the Amy
this
Schumer
episode?
movie.
Oh.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, sorry, no.
Didn't
Anyways,
see that coming.
Trainwreck.
but,
Which one's that?
That's the one with Amy Schumer.
Oh, that's
where
the new,
her life
their
is a
latest,
train
like,
wreck.
comedy. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that was like a B kind of Stallone movie. You know what I mean?
It might be, yeah.
Like
Might be.
Lockout.
Yeah, Lockout. Was it Break or Prison Break? Not Prison Break. The one where he breaks out of prison.
Yeah,
fucking
no, it's
twice.
something like that. It's not Prison
Yeah.
Break, but it's something like Gates
Get-
Out
not-
or Get
yeah.
Out. No, it's not Get
Ugh.
Out either.
Nope, not Get Out. Anyways, so I watched Trainwreck, and it was a decent movie. Nothing special. Amy Schumer's outfits were a little too scandalous for anybody to wear in a movie. Not just her, just anyone. Like, I just don't. I don't want to see that much skin on anybody unless it's in an intimate situation. So maybe let's all keep covered up,
A little more
please.
conservative of a person. Yeah.
All of us. Unless you're at home. If you're at home, do your own
Like
thing.
Bert Kreischer.
Or your Bert Kreischer, do your own thing. Brent Crystals. But yeah, it was a decent movie. I watched it twice back to back because I couldn't sleep, and it was on back to back on TV. So
Oh, okay.
That was
fair
it?
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I won't watch it, to be honest. I'm just not a fan of her kind
Yeah.
of comedies, to be honest. It's,
I'm not a fan of her comedy either.
Yeah.
Considering she's on record as saying that she's stolen other people's jokes
yeah, that's not cool.
and just repurposed them. Like, it's not for me. But the movie itself wasn't bad. LeBron's in it as a main character.
He's getting into acting now. Like,
Yeah.
like it was always a joke. I thought that he was going to be in Space Jam 2, and now it's a real thing. And I'm like, I don't believe
Yeah.
this yet. I need to see it.
Even when I'm sitting there watching, I'm going to be like, why didn't you just go get Michael Jordan again?
yeah, he
Okay.
could still do this.
Why not?
Why didn't you get Brandon
Get
Fraser
Muggsy
back?
Bogues. Yeah, that's it.
I want a Looney Tunes back in action too.
Yes. back in action.
Back in action again.
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 So I watched that,
Yeah.
and it's if you watch it, you watch it. I don't highly recommend it,
I
but
probably
I'm
won't,
also
to
not
be
going to say
honest.
don't watch it.
Yeah.
If it comes up, feel free.
If I'm
The only other
if
thing I
I'm in a
watched-
hotel room and is the only thing on the cable channel, I will
At
watch
like
it.
11:30, absolutely. The only other thing I watched, which was an HD TV show called Fixer Upper,
Which we had to look up.
which
beforehand.
honestly, Scott and I talked about it beforehand. I couldn't remember what it was called, and it's about
all their shows are the same.
yeah, it's about these people who buy a house in a neighborhood, and then this house is a fixer upper.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know how it works. Whether the couple that do it, they obviously own a real estate company, but they also own like the decor and the renoing portion of it as well, because it's called whatever Realty, Magnolia Realty, I believe. So clearly they do everything.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it's they're the realtors and they're like, oh yeah, you buy this house and we can fix it into your dream home or whatever, or if you have to apply to have them come do your shit.
Yeah.
But they always do a really good job of modernizing a house and making it look good.
Yeah.
However, it bugs the crap out of me that it's people who come in, they're like, oh yeah, we bought this house for $140,000. Our max budget is $480,000. And I'm like, how do you have so much money to throw at a house? Okay? Any house. I don't care where it is. Why are you putting so much money into the house?
Home ownership. That's the next topic we're going down.
Like-
Okay.
Like, it just blew my mind. Like, and they're just like, there was
I
one
know
guy,
what you mean.
like one house where they had it done, and they're like, okay, so you said this was it, and your max budget was this, and we actually came in like $6,000 under, but because the house, we put this much into it. You now have a max equity of like $20,000 extra, which doesn't happen very often when we do a new reno. And I'm like, why would you just tell them that? Like, they renoed it so their house would be worth more.
Yeah.
Why would you tell, like, what? And then they just do a lot of shit where, to me, like, there was nothing wrong with the room. It's like, there's nothing wrong. Maybe it needed new doors on the cupboards or a new counter.
Yeah.
And they'll just, like, there was one where it had a nice little breakfast nook already in it.
Yeah.
Okay. All it really needed was you to take the top off it and put a new tabletop on.
Okay.
And then clean the kitchen, maybe replace the floor. And they smashed the shit out of that room. They took everything out.
Oh, God.
And they just totally redid it.
Yeah. I feel like that's half the show is just... And I feel like that's half why people watch, is just watching people smash up stuff. And then it's like, oh, yeah, they'll fix it after.
Being a homeowner myself, I'm like, you know what? I do like watching HGTV.
No, I get that.
I always wonder why the hell my parents always watched it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? You don't have money to fix this stuff. But then now I'm like, I don't have money to fix this stuff. But I like that idea. I'm going to write it in my handy-dandy notebook.
And I'll get to that in the future when I got some
Drew's Clues. But I watched some of it and I'm like, why? Or when they stage the house, where they go out and they buy all the furniture to put, or rent it or whatever, to put into this house, and it doesn't even look like a home.
Yeah,
like it all looks so fake. Like, there's no character behind anything. It's just a bunch of shit put into a room to make you think, oh yeah, this is a room.
Yeah, I could live here.
Like, it just, that part really hits me. And, like, I know it's staged.
Oh, yeah, no,
but I don't want it to be staged. I want them to put, like, their furniture. Give them a credit to go buy their own shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to tell me what you think they should do with their room.
Yeah, no, I agree. That part, and that's the part that, like, I could never deal with being on one of those shows personally. I'm like, no, well, I gotta readjust this room now. Like, fuck.
Yeah. Like,
thank you for the new paint job, but, like, why'd you put my couch there?
Well, there was one I was watching, and it was a guy who had been on the show before as, like, one of the contractors to do something for them.
Okay.
And, like, he's a sheet metal worker, and he made them, like, the person's favorite poem or something on a big piece of sheet metal to hang in, like, the study or wherever. Mm-hmm. And he decided that he owns, like, acreage, like, massive amount of acreage that happens to have a cabin built on, like, the back end of it.
Yeah.
Why they think, like, oh yeah, the guy didn't know about it. Like, he knew about it, obviously. The whole family must have known about the fact that there's a fucking huge cabin there.
Yeah.
He decides that because his son was 21, I believe, that it was time for him to move out. So they were going to pimp out. Yeah. They were going to pimp out the cabin for him to live on. Because that way they work together. They might as well live on the same property. Just give him his own place so he gets out.
Well, that's nice.
Which, like, for starters, for me, like, yeah, okay, good for you as a parent. But what happens when this guy meets a woman? You think she's gonna want to live in the shack on his, or even if he meets another man, whoever he meets and he falls in love. Yeah. You think that significant other is gonna want to? Yeah. You think that person is gonna want to live on a shack, even a brand new shack, on the parents' property? Like, there's what? It doesn't make sense as a long-term investment to me.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But then, like, they decided to do it, all fine and dandy. The kid didn't get any say in the matter of what was happening to the shack. It was all the dad's decisions. Fine, whatever. Dad's footing the bill. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, I'm on that side too.
But at the end of the day, it was still just a shack.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't this guy just walk down and see what they were doing? He literally lives over a hill. Like, why wasn't he there looking at stuff?
I have to tell you, I would have been there every day being like, what's up? What you guys doing? Oh, you
didn't
want to just knock down all four walls, give me a few more feet?
Mom and Dad, why don't you guys just move in that? I'll take over the house.
Yeah, like, it's just the two of you now. You don't, like, come on. I got to grow a family now.
Yeah.
Give me some space.
That was it. It's just some of those things I'm like, this is really nice. However, why?
What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they did one.
About a lot of those shows.
Well, another one that we watched a lot of these episodes.
Yeah.
It was, they bought a house, like, down in Texas, which, no thank you. But they bought this house, this ranch down in Texas. I think it was like 4 acres or something, like just enough property.
Yeah.
But the husband clearly was in some type of like business and made decent money because the wife, she's like, well, I want a coastal property, so they had to find a way to have it look like a ranch but also have all of the West Coast stuff in it. So it was like surfer chic ranch style. And those two things do not go together. And the whole house, I was like, oh, that's a nice painting. Like it's a nice color for the wall paint, but what?
In Texas?
What?
We're not near any coasts. Well, that's not true. I guess they're near the Gulf of Mexico coast.
Why is there a fireplace in the middle of the room? But there's also a surfboard. What?
You can't.
Like the whole thing just blew my mind. I could not understand what was going on.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed like the dynamics of everyone on the show and how they're like, oh, we're gonna do this. And sometimes they got real cheap with the budget, where they're like, oh, well, this room was clearly an addition onto the house. Mm-hmm. It looks like the brick. They just literally threw the brick up that was outside, and then they just boxed it in so you could walk into this room.
Yeah.
So what they did was they took some of the bricks off and they built like the archway into another room out of it.
Okay.
So they did find like little nooks and and little corners to cut, and they'd like rip up a floor portion because they were going to do this one way, but then they were going to recycle that wood by having it like come up the wall as well, like just as an accent wall. And they did a lot of cool stuff like that I was like, I'm going to write that down.
Yeah. No.
But then a lot of it, I was like, why? Why?
No, I understand that. I get that. I haven't watched one of those shows in so long. And
it's stressful to watch.
yeah, no, I couldn't handle it anymore.
the big thing for me was just the money.
Yeah, no.
Why would you buy a house for like $200,000 and still have like $300,000 to throw at a house? Why didn't you just buy a nicer fucking house?
Yeah.
If you have 500 G's to play with, why would you buy something that's a total fixer-upper and a dump that there's no guarantee you're going to be able to make it worth money again? Ugh. Just stresses me out.
No, I understand. I get that. Was that all you watched then?
And that was it. That was my list.
Okay, I guess we should thank everyone for joining us for this best of our first year.
And that's it.
Officially into
beginning of season 2.
Season 2 started today. Will Craig be back? Will he not? You'll have to tune in next week to find out.
Who knows?
Thanks for
listening.
Bye.